Huh? No, he just came in to let me know basically. Yeah.
if you are just joining, welcome to TA Conversation. This is Adam Winston, trustee Adam Winston from over here in the village of Glenwood. Just to remind everyone, we are live. So if you are have some background noise or something, or if you just want to be mindful because it is being streamed not only here on Zoom, but it's also being streamed on YouTube and it's also being streamed on Facebook. So just be advised. In any event, it is Halloween. Okay, I did not expect as many kids this year as I've had. I've had an enormous. I actually started giving out bottles of water. So I had an enormous amount of kids from 4 o'clock up until now. I got my son in the background, so you see some little feet. It's not the Blair Witch Project, that's my son, but he is handing out candy. So while we do the show, I just did not expect the type of turnout, maybe because the weather is a little bit different, which is good. The weather is a little bit milder, but we had that eerie feel if you're into that Halloween atmosphere, and that eerie feel gave it, with the leaves on the ground, just really gave it a good feel. We have a couple of people, so we have a couple of candidates that are running for office that are also going to be they're going to be coming on. One of the candidates is running for I think sheriff. Another one of the candidates is running for commissioner, and then I also have another special guest, Miss Elisa Lanier. I don't want to, hopefully I'm not butchering her name, but she's going to come on. And if you don't know who Elisa Lanier is, you will. She has a very interesting story. And I had an opportunity to learn about her more this past week. But Lanier, Miss Lanier, if you just didn't know, if you're in this Glenwood area, sometimes you hear about things that happen in this particular area. And like so many things, they just kind of fall up, they get swept under the rug. So we never hear about incidents such as the one that Ms. Lanier is going to be sharing with us. Very fascinating, but I did also invite some other individuals from Cook County, to come on. So hopefully those individuals will be on. And we will be starting our show. It is 6:43, so we will be starting our show. Listen, I just sit here kind of early because I like I said, try to get the lighting right and everything. And I try to make certain that, I'm a dark-skinned guy, guys. I got to have a little bit of the lighting, right? To make certain that the people that are attending the show early can see me and that I can see them. I think we got a few more trick-or-treaters at the door. So I got to remind my sons, because they work so hard that they don't answering the door becomes problematic. But in any event, I'm right around. I will be here with all of my undivided attention momentarily. So bear with us. I am looking forward to our show this evening. So welcome to TA Conversation. Got a few more minutes. I am going to be on here in a moment, just talking a whole lot of stuff. Of course, I got trick-or-treaters. Some of them look too old to be at my door, but in any event, I still give them the bottled water that I'm probably not going to be drinking, just to make certain that they have the trick-or-treat spirit. But in any event, if you just joined, welcome to TN Conversation. We are going to be joining. Keep in mind, we are live. So if you are you may want to keep your mute button on if you're not, if you don't want the whole world to hear everything that you have to say, because we do stream on YouTube and we also stream on Facebook. If you aren't a subscriber, please subscribe to YouTube. Guys, that's just how this thing works. Go on YouTube and hit the subscribe button so that you can keep up with each one of these shows. They come out every Monday. We should have a very good show. Nico, I am looking forward. I missed you, buddy. I am looking forward to having you, hearing your candid conversation. But before we get into your conversation, Nico, I do have a special guest, Mr. Lisa Lanier, is going to speak a little bit because of the fact that she's a special guest. And I think that, could you please email me the link? I can sure do that. But she's going to speak first because I think for those candidates and those individuals that are running for office, you got to hear her story, because I think that it would bring all of this stuff home, especially when you got the Safety Act, you got all these people running in Cook County. I'm going to breathe. But in any event, until I do, I am going to make certain that that everybody hears her story. Because very interesting, and it's also something that I think that we should all be a little bit more mindful of as we go about our days. In any event, Halloween is today. I was thinking earlier when I went to Target, I was thinking that nobody, maybe Halloween is one of those holidays that's just about to fall apart. And then at my house, I just had 1,000,001 trick-or-treaters. So maybe my theory that nobody trick-or-treats anymore, maybe that theory just doesn't hold true. So I'm giving out sparkling water for the little 4-year-olds. So hopefully they like that, or they're going to come back and egg my house. I didn't see the little kid, the little pumpkin snatcher. I was looking for him because I had that pumpkin that I was going to put in this bag. But in any event, I did give out all of the candy that I had that normally I just end up paying it forward. But today I ran out of candy, and it could be because of the weather, but it could be just simply because I live in a different community right now. I live in a different part of Glenwood. Nico, you have your hand raised up. How are you? Guys, when you speak, now one of the things I'm going to have to ask is that when you speak, I appreciate everybody. Nobody wants to see your beautiful face like me. I just put my face out there. I made sure my lighting. But when you are talking, I mean, it would be nice if guests could kind of see you. So maybe turn your camera on. Nico, what's up?
I'm doing great, Adam. How are you?
I'm not too shabby. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am doing two things. Of course, my sons are here, and my sons are supposed to be my door. They're supposed to be answering the door, but yeah, that hasn't worked out. So when the little trick-or-treaters come to the house, hopefully they'll remember, like, you got to let them in. I don't want this candy. Okay.
Not Pam.
What's going on, Nico?
Lisa Lanier, not Pam.
I'm sorry. If you are, you got to watch your, you may want to put on mute. You may want to put on mute. Nico, go ahead.
So I just want to say hi.
How are you? How are things going?
Everything is going well. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to spread the word. And I thank you so much for inviting me tonight. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
Yes.
And talk with you and talk to all the guests. And I think it's going to be a fun evening.
Now, Nico, tell me, why don't you, since we got a little bit of time, 6:53. We do normally start our show at 7, but I'm okay if we start a little bit early. Nico, who are you? Why don't you go ahead and tell the guests that? Because I know who you are, and it's my pleasure to have you here. But tell people who you are,
right,
so that we can get the conversation started before, because I want you guys to hear Lisa Lanier's story. So, but Nico, before we get into that, go ahead and tell us who you are.
Yeah, I'll do that right away. Could you please send me?
I did. I put it. I sent it into your. I sent it into your chat box. So check your chat box.
Okay, that's the thing. I need to get it in my email so I can
Okay,
talk to you
okay.
on the desktop, so you guys also look at me. Could you do that for me?
Yeah, I'll send it to you in your, I'll send it to you in your email, okay?
Email, yes, so I can, for some reason, I can't get it to my desktop. So if you do that, I'll be able to see you guys.
Okay, listen, somebody needs to mute, please mute your, I'm gonna mute everybody in a moment. If you can't mute yourself, I'm gonna have to mute everyone. So please mute yourself, because I'm getting a lot of background.
Bless you.
Okay. Okay, Nico, I'm sending it to you as we speak. Okay, and actually, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to just, guys, right now, I'm just going to mute everyone. Unfortunately, I don't think somebody either hears me or it's just they don't know how to mute themselves. So I'll just mute everybody until we figure that situation out. Okay, so you would have to raise your hand if you want to talk or if you got questions. I'm just going to mute everyone until we figure out who that individual is. Back there is a little bit of noise in the background. In any event, welcome to TIA Conversation. It is 6:55. It is 6:55. I am getting ready to start the show because I don't have to wait, right? We don't have any sponsors or anybody that makes me wait. So we can really go ahead. I know that we have people that actually come around when the time comes, but we can go on and start the show. Elisa, are you there?
I'm here. Can you
okay,
see me?
Elisa. So Elisa, before we get started with your story, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I know that you and I spoke last week for the very first time. I have to tell you, okay, and I think I kind of shared this with you when you and I spoke over the phone. Last 4th of July, this past 4th of July, I remember it because I decided to go into Indiana. At that particular time, I lived closer to 394. So I was coming down Glenwood Dyer Road. I was coming down Glenwood Dyer Road and the traffic was diverted. And I didn't know what happened. It took me much longer to get home because I had to go all the way to Thornton and I had to come all the way around. So I definitely remember the turn of the events of that particular day. Now I have to tell you, even though I'm an elected official and I keep up with what's going on, because this is the interesting thing, because what took place was not really considered Glenwood. It just wasn't considered Glenwood. The information that I received just kind of fell off. But Elisa, first thing I want to tell you is thank you for sharing your willingness to come here and talk to our guests and tell them who you are and start off just that way. And hopefully it's not too much for you. You've gone through enough already, and the goal isn't to traumatize you any further, but I do think that people should hear your story. So Elisa, welcome to TIA Conversation.
Thank you for having me. Can you see me or no?
No, I can't see you.
I don't know. I was trying to open it where you can see. Well, I'll try, but so on July 3rd, I was traveling down Glenwood Dyer Road. I was just leaving a friend's home who happened to reside in Glenwood. Just a casual day. And in the midst of me about to get on the expressway, I dropped my phone. I went to pick my phone up and accidentally bumped into the car ahead of me.
So Elisa, because I first thing before you get in, dive right in. What I mean, tell us who you are. Who are you? I mean, you're a lifelong resident of the Southland area.
Yeah, I'm from Dalton. Yeah, I reside in Dalton. I've been in Dalton for a couple of years. I'm a single mom of 2. I'm a healthcare worker. So I have a lot of healthcare experience as well. So basically, that's really me. Is there
Right, but
anything?
on this 4th of July, because I remember we had the fireworks, there was a lot going on that particular day. And that particular day, yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of getting off this whole COVID tip, right? We're getting off of this, people are getting back to some sense of normal, right?
Correct.
You're leaving a friend's house who lives in Glenwood, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so tell us how the day went. Just you started off. You came here. You were riding. You had spent the day at a barbecue over in Glenwood, and what
So
happened?
I actually was leaving a family member's house that lived in Indiana.
Okay.
And I left there and I decided to stop over my friend's house. Of course, it is the 4th of July weekend. You do want to involve yourself and meet people and join. And that's how they were wrapping up their things, their fireworks and stuff. So I decided to call my god sister. I'm sorry. I decided to call my god sister to see what she was actually doing. Um, and I decided to go over that way. Well, that never
Yes.
happened because I wound up hitting the car in front of me, like I was saying prior, on Lincoln, on Governor's Highway.
Good. So just and if you don't mind, Elisa, I'm gonna kind of pick it up. So here it is. It's the 4th of July, and I think the 4th of
We're
July
waiting for
this
to put
past
it up
week
at.
fell
Where's
on.
the tank top at?
If you please mute
Bring
yourself,
it here.
please mute yourself. Okay. If you're out there, please just put on your mute. But it's the 4th of July weekend. Everybody's out. Glenwood Dyer Road and 394 is where this incident actually took place, where a young lady was actually was shot. I mean, if I can say, you were shot quite a few times on Glenwood Dyer Road. 16. How many times were you shot there?
I was shot 14 times.
14 times. So this Miss Lanier here, was driving down Glenwood Dyer Road. This is not Glenwood, so I know that a lot of the residents in Glenwood were asking what happened with this. And like I said, Miss Lanier, I just apologize because even though I'm in the know, I'm not in the know when they don't consider it Glenwood, right?
Right.
And they didn't consider, this is not considered Glenwood, although it is actually kind of on the border. It's right there because this happened east of 394, or was this west of 394? Was it on the other side of 394, like heading towards Indiana, or was this west of 394?
West.
So it was west of 394. So Glenwood doesn't necessarily start on one side of the street until you get up to, I think that's Blackstone. So just to kind of paint the picture, Miss Lanier is leaving a friend's house. She is getting ready to go to a barbecue, I guess, and ends up in a fender bender with someone. And in this fender bender, what happens? Okay, you driving down just what happens?
So when I bumped into the car, I immediately, was like, okay, let me get out the car to make sure that that person is okay. So I proceeded to get out my car. And when I got out my car, I just heard really loud boom, boom, boom sound. And I'm thinking it's the holiday. So I never really paid attention to know that it was gunshots. I thought it was actually fireworks.
Yes.
So I still was trying to walk to the front of my car and my leg started to give out. And I touched my leg and it was moist. And I looked at my hand and it was red. And then that's when I realized that I had been shot. So I proceeded to walk back to the car to try to get cover. And even in the midst of me walking back to the car, this person was still shooting, still shooting, still shooting. Um, I made it behind my door because I left my door open. I made it behind the door and fell to the ground. In the midst of me falling to the ground, I just heard the car behind me. And she was like, call the police. She was shot, call the police. So I don't remember the police coming and anything like that because I had passed out.
Yeah.
Come to find out, the first responder, the first police responder was someone I went to high school, so he expedited everything.
Yes.
And that's how I got in the ambulance. So when I was in the ambulance, I do remember coming to, and I kept telling the EMT, like, I'm okay, I'm okay. You know, just let me go home, let me go home. And the lady looked at me with a face that I have never been seen before, and she said, "You are not going home. You have been shot several times. You could die." And in that moment, it just took me back because I'm like, I don't deserve this. So I guess I passed out again, and I woke up in the hospital. I don't know if it was 2 days later or not. Tubes down my throat. They had me on a breathing machine, and they had to cut me from my breastbone to the bottom of my stomach because I was shot in my stomach 9 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So currently, I have I had to learn how to walk again. Um, just a lot of different things that I had to learn how to do again. Currently, I still have open wound, and I have to go to another surgery again so that I can have a couple of reversal of things and also have the wound actually closed.
Yeah. So Miss Lanier, and again, like I said, and I appreciate you coming on Tea and Conversation. I really do. And I appreciate you sharing your story. This particular day just started off like any other day. You're not, I mean, you're just a mom of how many children do you have?
Two,
You have
two.
two children. You're just caring about your day. Just you're not in any risky or behaving in, displaying any type of or living some sort of risky lifestyle. And
Nope.
I don't know. I'm asking.
Nope.
So what do you think happened? I mean, I mean, and again, this is not the fear monger. I know right now, and this is the reason why I'm glad there's so many people from Cook County that are on here. But I mean, right now with the Safety Act and all of these different things, this is why the story is actually really relevant right now, because people are fearful, and these type of incidents don't help, right? Because they really like, what the hell is going on, right? And
Right.
I mean, you get an offender bender, those people pull out their insurance card, the other people who don't have insurance, they take off, but never would I expect someone to just start just firing on someone simply because it was a minor traffic accident. Now, so right now, as it stands, where does it stand? I mean, you were in the hospital, obviously, for a while. How long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for 2 months.
For 2 months. And in that 2 months, what's happened? Take us through that. Have they identified the cause? Are there any pending suspects? Where are we currently in this particular with this situation?
Well, they actually closed my case. So it's nothing, no more search or uh it's no action being taken. And that's why I tried to reach out to you, because I would definitely not want this to happen to anyone else. As far as the mental and the emotional stress that come along with it, I don't want this to happen to anyone else. So
So when you say that they closed their case, I mean, where did that come from? I mean, they just said,
Cook
are we
County.
closing your
Yep. Cook
the
County.
closing? And why are they closing your case? What's
Because they said that they have no witnesses. And even when they were asking me about the car, they said the car was a different color than I thought it was. Mind you, I was shot, so I didn't know anything. Um, and then they asked me about uh, did I know what the suspect looked like? It was dark on that road, so I couldn't identify the suspect. Um, and then they said that the local businesses around could not pick up the car on the cameras and stuff like that. So it was basically nothing that they can do, is what was told to me.
If you're just joining, we are live at Tia Conversation. We're talking to Miss Lisa Lanier. Lisa Lanier, you may not know her. I'm pretty certain that many of the people who live in this Southland area, and that's what Tia Conversation does, we try to connect people in the Southland area, have heard about the incident. This particular incident took place in our area over that 4th of July weekend. I think 4th of July, what was it, on a Sunday or a Monday this year? But I remember they ended up closing down that portion of 394 and Glenwood Dyer Road. During that time, you know, it was so much going on in terms of the fireworks. You got more people doing more of this. Most of us were unaware. We heard about the shooting, but I don't think many of us knew where the case was. The police department, Glenwood Police Department, really have not been able to tell us any further details about what transpired. I didn't even know what happened with you, let alone the case actually being dropped. So right now, I mean, 14 times somebody gets out, 14 times, and again, I don't carry a gun. But 14, what kind of gun carries 14 times seems like an excessive amount of shots just for a random fender bender. Does that seem odd to you?
Yeah, it definitely seems odd to me, especially if I'm not involved in that type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it was just, I didn't even know that I was shot 14 times until I was actually aware that I was shot. I only thought I was shot in my leg. So for someone to just excessively shoot somebody 14 times for something as such as a minor traffic violation, because it wasn't even my car was not messed up at the front or anything. So I don't know what was going on in that person's mind, or what were they thinking.
So what are the police right now? I mean, so Cook County Sheriff Department is handling this, right?
Well, they were.
Okay. So they're not, so they weren't, so, and is there any recourse? What is do you have an attorney, somebody that is handling this for you?
I do not.
You may need one, right? Because I think that at some particular point, you know, you may need an attorney. I would advise you to get an attorney. How has this incident taken place? Now you look like you're healing. How has this really affected you? You know, the job, I mean, this is a lot. Like, how have you been able to hold it together?
So I have a great employer, and instantly that night they started to GoFundMe. So they sent the GoFundMe out, and it has been plentiful, and that's kind of how I was sustaining. Family, friends, you know, everybody has been playing their part. I just returned back to work maybe a week ago, and then I can't work actually in the office. I work from home because I can't be around a lot of germs and stuff like that due to me still being open. But that's just the way that I survive. That's how I've been surviving. That's the only way that I've been surviving, honestly.
Lisa, are you able to take any questions from any of the audience?
Yeah, no problem.
If you are just joining TN Conversation, we do have Lisa Lanier. She's one of our guests tonight, and she's sharing with us an incident that took place on 394 in Glenwood Dyer Road, guys. This young woman, excuse me, of two children. Two children, found herself in a fender bender over the 4th of July weekend. It's something that should have been a routine. You pass the license, you have your insurance, you move on. Found herself fighting for her life when the person just decided to start shooting at her. So Lisa Lanier, she is one of our special guests. If you have questions, please put them in the chat box, please, because some of the questions that are coming in, I need to read them before we go in. Or if you want to ask her the question and you're on Zoom, please be respectful of her and ask the questions that you would like. Right now, we love you, Lisa. I see somebody, you are strong. We love you, Lisa. Another person, what is the statute of limitation? With a good lawyer, can this case be reopened? Those are some of the questions that are being asked. Have you thought, I mean, why not get a lawyer, to seek a lawyer, Lisa? We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I have not, I'm just now getting to the point where I can like really like advocate for myself at this
Yes.
point. So I have thought about getting a lawyer. I just haven't, I guess, reached out to it. And in this point, it was like reach out to somebody in the local area for other safety.
Yes.
Now, I didn't really think about myself, which I probably should have. I was more so thinking about the safety of others in that
Yes.
area. So yeah, I do plan on reaching out to a lawyer and trying to open up the case again.
Yeah, and I really do. I really think that you should do that. I know just looking, and I went to Cook County Sheriff, cookcountysheriff.org, right? And I look at the number of cases, and I don't think people really fully appreciate the number of cases that are being handled by Cook County. Cook County, if you're not in a municipality, like on 394 in Glenwood Dyer Road, that is not a local municipality's jurisdiction. That belongs to Cook County. And I don't think people really fully understand that if you're off 394 in that little small section, Ford Heights, another example, that area is being patrolled by the county, which is the sheriff department, which is something that we all should be much, much, much more astute and aware of, because I don't even think if one of these incidents happens, we don't think about, well, where am I at? Am I going to get the same level of attention from the county as if I would get from a local municipality? Elisa, and I think I asked you this before, have you even considered reaching out to the county commissioner, right? You got Tony Pretwinkle. Tony Pretwinkle, I think she's the Cook County president. You got Tom Dart, who's over the sheriff department. Have you tried to contact any of them?
No, because I just found out that that part was not a part of Glenwood. So
Okay.
at this point, I am going to reach out to, the Cook County aspect of it,
Right.
because I do want something to happen.
And you do at least some follow-up, and that's what I would definitely actually, I don't, as somebody's saying that's Donna Miller, I don't know if that's Donna Miller in that area any longer. I think once they redistrict that particular area, I think that now is the 5th district, which would probably fall under Deborah Sims or whoever the new commissioner may be during the next election. But I would start off with Donna Miller. Donna Miller is a heck of a resource that you should be able to use. Or even Tony Pretwinkle. And listen, she's running right now for office. Right now, people don't want, elected officials don't want to sound like they're not really interested in looking out for their constituents. This would probably be a great time for you to reach out to Tony Pretwinkle or Donna Miller or one of those commissioners, and Tom Dart. Tom Dart, right now he's the sheriff. He's over that sheriff department until or if somebody else wins that particular seat. But Tom Dart is that county president. Well, so you're going to stick around, Elisa, because I'm going to take more questions from folks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much. Nico, are you there? Did you finally get the link that you wanted to, that you wanted, Mr. Nico? Are you there?
I'm here, Adam. I'm here. Everything's working fine. Thank you.
Fantastic. Nico, you just heard Elisa, and I know that the first thing, Nico, start off by telling us who you
are. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. You look handsome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Not as good as you do, but I'm doing my best.
Well, you know what? I'm blessed. You know what I mean? I am. So, Nico, how have you been doing it? Welcome back to Tea and Conversation. Tell the audience, okay? Because some people says, well, who is this Nico guy? Nico, tell them who you are and why you're here on Tea and Conversation today. And how can situations like what Miss Elisa described, how can we be more effective in helping her?
I'm sorry to hear about what happened to Miss Elisa. Unfortunately, This is a story we hear often and often. I don't know what the solution is. It probably has to do with a lot of factors, and it's an issue that I don't know necessarily if politicians can help us, but it's definitely an issue for the community and an issue for all of us to discuss and try and resolve, because it's very unfortunate and it affects everybody's life.
Yes, yes.
I'm glad you bring these issues at your YouTube events, and you know, I'm glad there's a discussion. Like I said, I don't know if there's a recipe that we can follow and everything is going to be resolved.
No.
It's a sign of the times, and it's something that needs discussion.
Yes. Yes.
I'm concerned about this thing, and I'm also concerned about what I'm going to be talking to you tonight, which is the taxes.
Yes.
I was not concerned a few months ago because I was in a happy-go-lucky mood until I got my tax bill. So I'm not a politician. I was never really involved in public affairs, and I was about doing my business and worrying about my own stuff until I got my bill. So my bill was Fritz Kegi wanted me to pay $110,000 a year for something that I paid $195,000 just 7 years ago to buy.
Yes.
This is crazy. I think it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. The only thing I could see was that I was going to run for office trying to inform people of what's going on, because I'm sure my story is the story of other people too. Maybe not to that extent, but everybody's worried about taxes and everybody can sense there's something wrong. And even if they don't sense it today, they're going to sense it tomorrow. You know, it's like what happened to Elisa. You may not be involved in something today, but it's just a matter of time that something is going to happen to you or to a member of your family or to a member of your community. The bad things are going to touch us all at some point, sooner or later.
And the taxes, to Nico's point, so some people say, well, taxes don't matter. Taxes do matter, right? Because these are how you pay for services, right?
Taxes do matter because
matter.
This is how you pay for services, like you were saying, Adam. Plus, taxes do matter. Even if you do not own property, you're indirectly paying for taxes.
Yes.
Because if you're paying rent, your landlord is paying the taxes. So somebody's paying the taxes, and that somebody is usually you.
Yes. And
it's
generally, generally, Nico, and you can chime in this, and I do have some questions that people are pinging me on for you. But generally, in those areas that are having some issues tax-wise, they generally have the sheriff department, Miss Elisa. So if you look at Ford Heights, you look at some of those unincorporated areas that are being patrolled, that the reason why they're being patrolled by Cook County is because either they can't fund them, like Ford Heights, or the county is just over those particular areas. Nico, I can, do you mind? I might as well just hit you with these questions. How are you going to fix the late tax bill? Okay, our next bill is very close behind. How do you fix this? You win the assessor seat. How do you fix it?
Okay, that's just a manifestation of the problems at the assessor's office, the fact that the bills are coming late. Why are the bills coming late? Fritz Kegi is saying the mainframe, the computer, there's something wrong, or he's trying to upgrade. Okay, that may be a reason.
Yes.
The other reason is so many people are appealing. Hundreds of thousands of people are appealing their taxes. The board of review is behind. Why are people appealing the taxes? Because the assessments are coming in crazy. The assessments are arbitrary and rapacious. They're crazy. They don't make any sense. People are fighting their assessments right and left. That's why the bills are late. Now, why are the assessments crazy? The assessments are crazy because the value of the tax has nothing to do with the value of the property. That's how the law is designed. The amount of tax has to do with how much money the government wants to collect. They don't care about what our property is worth. That's why there is no relationship between the amount of tax and the amount and the value of the property. In California, for example, and in other states, the law says that they cannot tax you more than 1% of the value of the property. Here, there is no such limit. It can be anything. It can be any number. Like in my case, the value of the tax is 60% of the value that I paid to buy my property. They don't care. They just care about how much money they want to make. Now, the assessments, they do the assessments so they can divide between us how much each one of us is going to pay. But the amount of money is fixed. Cook County wants $16 billion a year. That's the amount they want.
Right. Okay. So again, if you're just joining, welcome to Tea and Conversation. We got a busy show today, so please bear with me because we're bouncing through a lot of things. I got Miss Elisa Lanier, who's on here. She was the young lady who was shot 14 times over on Glenwood Dyer Road. She finds out that she has been shot in the Cook County portion of the area, and Cook County Sheriff Department has decided that they're no longer going to follow up with that case because they just ran into a brick wall, I would assume. And then I have Nico along with some other candidates that are coming on here. So Lisa, I don't want you to think at all that I'm taking your situation lightly. I'm just trying to make certain that we have the conversation, tea and conversation, about all of these different things, because taxes are connected. We often try to run these things in swim lanes, but really, if you're not collecting enough taxes, you're not going to be able to cover some of those particular services. So although it may not seem directly related, in a lot of ways it is. Nico, we still need to know your fix according to the people out here. What is Nico's fix? Why should we go for Nico as opposed to Fritz Kagel? Why?
The reason why is because I'm going to have caps. I'm going to propose caps for our taxes. So the assessment shouldn't be going up more than 2% a year. That's the value of the assessment. I'm going to advocate for caps, and the value of the tax should not exceed 1% of the value of our properties. That's it.
What about the schools, Nico? So right now, the schools, the reason why many of our property taxes are as high as they are is because of the schools, right? You know, I do a flat tax, so you know I'm all over this. So the property taxes are high because the state isn't paying their fair share, right? The state isn't paying the majority that they're supposed to be paying to fund the school. So locally, we are supplementing that money. Are you saying that's not the solution for the state to make the state more accountable?
That's partly correct, Adam. What you're saying is partly correct. In Chicago, 55% of property taxes go for a CPS. But Adam, CPS enrollment is down 30% since the early 2000s. And although the enrollment is down, CPS expenses are up by 30%. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. The Illinois public school system is one of the most expensive in the nation, and we have one of the worst scores in the nation. There's something fundamentally wrong with the educational system in the state of Illinois.
But Nico, is that two different topics, right? We may have a shitty system, right? So the schools may be shitty. I'm just going to go ahead and give you that. However, right now, just for the audience here, we want to stay focused on the tax portion of it. So even though the system is shitty, the school districts are shitty, how do we get the state to pay the primary the amount to fund those schools so that places like Dalton, places like Glenwood, places like Fort Heights aren't footing the bulk of those bills, which in turn makes the property taxes even more higher? Who's in the audience got some questions for Nico? Because I feel like right now I'm trying to drive him to see this thing. And I'm not trying to steer you, but it seems like until we start recognizing that the schools are underfunded because the state isn't paying.
Adam, that's Fritz Kege's narrative. It's that we're missing money. We're not missing money. It's not a funding problem that we have here in Illinois. It's a spending problem. Fritz Kege keeps saying that the state needs to spend more money in education. My point is the state is already spending a lot of money in education and there are no results. That's not the real issue here. The real issue is what are we doing with the tax money we're collecting? And is the tax money we're collecting fair to the value of our properties? And my point is, it's not. CPS is eating 55% of property taxes. Like I said before, CPS is losing enrollment. So I don't buy this argument that the state needs to spend more money. What we need to do is figure out how to lower property taxes, and what we need to do is make assessments fair. Today, assessments are not fair.
But wouldn't we be lowering property taxes? Wouldn't we be lowering property taxes? And I'm playing devil's advocate here, Nico. If the schools primarily were funded by the state.
Adam.
Yes.
I'm reading here, you have 500 educators in public schools with salaries ranging between $200,000 and $439,000. Who is making this kind of money today in the private sector?
I listen, I understand. I'm not saying that there is a one size fits all. However, we're talking only about property taxes. The salaries and the ranges for those salaries, that's another argument. What I'm saying, in order to immediately give the people that are listening to TN Conversation some immediate relief in their property taxes, wouldn't the smartest way be to make the state pay the primary bulk of the funding for schools? No, forget the salaries, right? It's kind of like child support. I don't know what my baby mama using the money for. It doesn't matter what she's using the money for. If she is supposed to be getting this money, she can use it for whatever. If the state is supposed to be funding the school, we don't care right now, Nico. So just stay with me for a minute. We don't care whose salary is what. First, we got to get the state to fund the schools at an adequate rate. And that way that burden isn't on poor people. Nico, help me here.
Where is the money that the state is going to spend? Where is that money coming from? Is it not coming from you and me?
Yes, it's all coming from us.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. No matter how you juggle it, it's the same thing. Like I said, that's the Fritz Keiki narrative. Fritz Keiki is also claiming that he's making commercial property owners pay more or pay their fair share of taxes, and he's alleviating the burden for residential property owners. These are the same people. We are the same people. When the dollar store has to pay more taxes, who's going to pay the taxes? It's the consumer. It's the guy in the neighborhood that buys from this store that's going to end up paying the taxes. Shifting the burden from one hand to the other hand doesn't make a difference. That's pandering. That's pandering, making people think that somebody else is going to pay the tax levy.
Well, I don't know if it's quite pandering. And I think that right now you have certain schools you got certain communities like Park Forest that their local tax is way above, right? But schools are underfunded. You have Glenwood, whose property taxes are way so high and their schools are underfunded. If the way we pay taxes, we did a flat rate, and this is my thought, we did a flat rate of 10% in terms of the property tax. On terms of the property tax, don't get crazy on me, but just in the property tax, we do a flat 10%. And then we have all of the communities in Illinois paying a flat 10%. Maybe then we would be able to resolve some of these issues. But I'm not an assessor. I'm just a guy who's trying to come up with a way to give immediate relief to all of the people that are here. If you're just joining, this is TN Conversation. We got Nico on. Nico is taking your questions. He's a candidate running for the assessor. Nico, you didn't tell people this. Do you want me to be your campaign manager? Who are you and why do they need to know you, Nico?
Well, like I said, I'm just a regular guy. They need to know me because for better or for worse, I'm the only alternative to Fritz Keiki now.
Yes. And that is true because everyone was removed or kicked off or lost in the primary. When you go to the ballot now, you only have Nico and you have Fritz Keiki. So if you're not happy with your taxes, you either go with Nico, right? Or you go with Fritz. And again, right now, I don't like Nico, you got to give me something.
Another thing I need to tell you, Adam, and another thing I need your viewers to know
Yes.
is that Fritz Kegi is working hand in hand with the property tax lawyers. And why do I say that? I say that because his office is coming up with crazy assessments. And we all know that if you go to a lawyer will ask for a fee that has to do with how much supposedly they reduced your assessment. So the higher the assessment that Fritz Kegi comes up with, the higher the fee you're gonna pay your lawyer to bring it back to its real value. The biggest transfer of money that has ever happened in Cook County is happening now under Fritz Kegi. And the money is not going to the public coffers. The money is going to the pockets of the tax property lawyers. If the assessments were reasonable, people would be paying more tax and property owners would be keeping more money in their pockets. Instead, with the system we have now, everybody who's appealing and using a lawyer is forced to pay these exorbitant fees. It's a scheme, it's a racketeering scheme that's going on, and I'm calling for the U.S. attorney in Chicago to look into this. Hundreds of millions of dollars are changing hands because of the exorbitant assessments of Fritz Kegi and his office. These guys are working for the property tax lawyers, and people should wake up and recognize this fact.
Yes. Yes. If you're just joining, please make certain that if you're on YouTube, please join. Hit the subscribe button so that you can follow me every week. We do Tea and Conversation every Monday at 7 p.m. It is live. It's also streamed on YouTube. I would hope that you hit that subscribe button because that's how we continue to build. We have Nico. Nico, tell me your last name. I don't make me butcher it, okay?
My last name.
I'm going to butcher it. I'm just going to let you know. Go ahead.
It's Tsatsulis, but people don't even have to know that. They don't have to know. Just vote.
Well, what are they looking for on the ballot? Are they looking for Nico on the ballot?
Yeah, they're gonna be looking for Nico. Nico, forget my last name. Just look for Nico.
I mean, it's kind of like that guy. I see the commercial about this guy called Raj. Raja. I mean, so just look for Nico.
Just look for Nico. The only difference, Adam, is I don't have millions of dollars like Raja. And I don't have millions of dollars like Fritz Kegi. He spent $6.5 million on his campaign already. I spent $220 to print business cards. Everybody who knows about me knows because they met me on the street. And
what's your background, Nico? What is your background?
My background is I've been involved in different things. I've been in Chicago since the early 80s.
Wait a minute. You said your background. You said your background isn't important as an assessor?
As an assessor, it's very important. I studied economics. I've been in real estate for many years. And that's how I decided to run for office because I'm a victim. I'm a victim of the system here. I know exactly what's going on now because I was victimized like hundreds of thousands of other people. And the biggest victims, Adam, are the poor people.
Yes.
Because when the taxes are high, it's the poor that cannot even afford to own their own place.
Well, and to Nico's point, he's absolutely right. Poor communities are the more heavily taxed. You look at communities like Park Forest, Ford Heights, Dalton, Riverdale. Those are some of the most heavily taxed communities in the state. I want to thank you, Nico. Stick around because I'm certain that people are going to be asking you questions. But I do want to jump right back over here to Elisa. Elisa, have you? I mean, you probably haven't. So I guess right now you do know that there is a race that is going on for the sheriff department too, and that's the reason why you're right now. All of these candidates that come here, and I'm grateful for all of them that come here on Tea and Conversation. But right now, like Nico's situation, where all of the people that were challenging Tom Dart, there were a bunch of candidates that were challenging him and they got kicked off the ballot. Right now, there's only one other person I think that's on the ballot that's running against Tom Dart. Am I right, Nico? There's only one other person. Do you feel two other people? So it's two other people running against Tom Dart. But do you feel do you feel that the sheriff department did all that they could for you, Miss Elisa?
I do not. I do not.
Okay. Okay, and so and in terms of getting more public awareness, because what I'm hoping that Tea and Conversation does and other shows like this is that we get the wheels on this thing. We need more traction, right? When I look at and I hear stories like yours, and again, it breaks my heart because you're a mother, you're a woman, you're from the community here, and incidents like this. One of the things that I think it's the sheriff department gets way too much cover, right? You don't hear. I'm on their site right now, and I'm looking at the number of cases that they have. The sheriff department is one of the largest government agencies, right, Nico? They're one of the largest here in the state, the sheriff department. And then, but you hear about Chicago. But when it comes to incidents that happen in the Cook County, how are we tracking, the success or lack thereof of and accountability of things that happen in Cook County? If you got your questions, please raise your hand. You got questions. I want to open it up for both Nico. Nico is a candidate running for office. And then I have Elisa here who's sharing her story, a very heart-wrenching story about a mother who was should have been enjoying the holidays. I mean, that's what it should have been, where she could have stopped by, maybe had a little bit of barbecue or whatever, and gone about her business. She finds herself fighting for her life, getting shot 14 times over what appears to be a fender bender, which is absolutely insane and should never happen in the Southland area. Nico, you got something to say?
Yeah, I got something to say. Tom Dart is not a cop. He's a lawyer. If you want a cop,
but he's the sheriff.
If you want a cop to be at the sheriff's department, people should be voting for Brad Sandefur. He's a deputy sheriff and he's running with the Libertarian Party. That's who people should be voting for. He's a guy who's on the street every day. Tom Dart is a lawyer.
Tom Dart
for a lawyer, vote for Tom Dart.
Tom Dart used his law degree to kick everybody off the ballot. I mean, he did. I mean, he did. Too soon, Nico, too soon, okay? But he did use his law degree. I thought that we had a couple of good candidates that were running, but Tom Dart, being a lawyer, probably used that savviness. But I'm looking at, to get people off the ballot, I am looking at the number of incidents that are the number of cases that are under the Cook County Sheriff's website. And again, Elisa, if I were you, I would be hammering them. I would be such a bugaboo right now with this campaign. Right now, you got an election. November 11th is right around the corner. I would be such a bugaboo that they would hear my doggone story. What do you think?
I'm going to reach out to them. I was just trying to figure out who to reach out to because I actually did not know. So let me
tell you a secret, and Nico will tell you this. Sometimes he's running for the assessor office with $200. Sometimes you just throw stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Because at this particular point, you need to be throwing as many boulders and as many Molotov cocktails as you need to make certain that people hear about your story. November 11th is the election, right? So if this is the time,
November 8th.
Right? What'd you say, Nico?
November 8th.
November 8th is the time. You gotta be. What? You're gonna drop my case during election season? There's no way in hell. And this is I would be screaming to the highest mountains right now that here it is, a mother of two shot on a holiday weekend. Cook County Sheriff is investigating this case. Dropped my case. Told me they're not even going to entertain it anymore, right? What are they doing for future people? Are they doing any preparedness? Have they make that intersection any safer? What are they saying? There's no cameras over there. There was another young man. I don't know if you keep up with that particular area over there. Was another young man that was recently shot and killed in that particular area. What are they doing to keep the public safe if that's the job of the sheriff department? And that's where I would be rallying the troops.
Yeah.
I would be in front of somebody, because there's no way in the world, and your supporters and people that love you should be right there with you sounding that bullhorn. One of the things that I noticed about you're in Dalton, that young lady that got killed by the police the police that shot her family got a memorial. They are working it to make certain that that never happens to anyone else. And that's got to be somewhat, that kind of the plan right now, that we got to make certain that this doesn't happen. I mean, I wouldn't let my incident, it would be my motivation to get all of these people act together, especially during election time. If you're just joining, welcome to Tea and Conversation. We are here with Nico. I was supposed to have Jeffrey Coleman on here. Sorry, Jeff, you had the invite. This would have been a good time for people to get to know you, Mr. Jeff. If you're going to be running for a state rep in the District 29, you probably need to let people know who you are. You were supposed to be here. Jeff, you got to do better, man. I understand it's election time, but you got to be here. But Jeffrey Coleman is running for District 29, state rep in District 29. You've got Nico here. He's running for assessor. You have Brad. Actually, I met Brad. One of the things, Nico, I have to tell you about Brad running for sheriff, and I personally like him, but he is dry as toast. And that may be why he is hell, I like him. Hell, you know, if it's about law and order, hell, he's a law and order sheriff. I wish he was here tonight. But and he is. You're absolutely right. You can tell that he is a no-nonsense sheriff. But I do think that, you know, he's got to get some bedside manner. He's hard to warm up to him. I mean, if you're not somebody like me, you know, I don't need to be coddled as much. But I would feel a lot more comfortable if he was somebody looking after Elisa and what she's going through.
Listen, he's a guy that loves his job. He's a guy that's good at his job. He's a guy that loves people, and he's a guy that loves protecting people. So I think he's going to make an excellent sheriff. Yeah. Now, you know, we can say a lot of things about anybody, but I think he's going to be excellent at his job. And that's what I admire about him. And that's what I like about him. And that's why I'm going to vote for him.
Yes. Lisa, before we head out, what else should the public know? Tell us what else, because really this show, I mean, I really wanted it to be more about you and what you've gone through. What do we need to know? Because do you feel like the sheriff department, do you think it's racially motivated? Do you think that they just gave up on it because of your background or social economics? Why do you feel they were so quick to drop this?
I don't really know why they were so quick to drop it, because at the end of the day, I just feel like it was important, and not just for me, but for the community as well. And if you're going to patrol the community, then that needs to be, you know, something that they look into. It's too dark over there. They need more lighting. It's extremely dark when you drive.
9 o'clock though in July is still pretty light outside. So that's still a pretty light time in July, right? It's still pretty light.
It was dark.
It was dark.
It was extremely dark.
Were they making any accusations? Were your company, you hanging around bad company? They ask you about.
They tried to say that, but at the same token, me coming to visit has nothing to do with anything that happened in the neighborhood, and to whomever home I was in. That has nothing to do with me. I don't dwell in that. I'm a visitor. You are free to visit wherever you want to visit, you know.
Where you coming from? I mean, and if I'm overstepping my boundaries, were you coming from some place where they feel was?
I was coming from a place where they did say that they have had to be called a couple of times. Yes. Yep. Yeah. But like I said, I don't know. You know, I don't know anything that happened at that house. I was a visitor.
Mm-hmm. That's not uncommon. Yeah, I agree that's not uncommon. I mean, we don't know. I mean, some of the people I would hope that all of my friends are on the level, but I don't know what everybody does, and they can't just make a person guilty by association. I would think, and law is about following the law. So regardless to wherever you came from, I would hope that they would enforce the law, which is you can't shoot somebody 14 damn times on a public street. And I would hope that they would investigate to make certain that that person is off the streets. I would encourage you again, like Miss Elisa, you definitely need to find you an attorney, and you definitely need to push back, because I just don't think that this is. I don't know. I feel like they're just kicking this can down the road, and I don't know why. Okay, so I definitely would do that. Nico, so where are your, I mean, so what are we doing about getting your name out here? I mean, how, what does it look like? What is your feelings?
Listen, it's very hard. It's a very hard fight. And I'll tell you why. Why. The system is binary. You have to be either a Democrat or a Republican. If you're an independent or a third party candidate, it's very hard. They're not giving me the time of the day. I haven't been invited to any forums or debates since the primaries, and that's because they want to elect Fritz Kegi without anybody realizing anything. If you look at the Tribune, they're not endorsing Fritz Kegi, but they're not mentioning my name either. The same with the Daily Herald. It's like they want people not to even think about it. They want you to go to the ballot box without knowing who the candidates are. WBZ had my name and picture for the primaries. Now there's nothing. They took it off. You won't see my name there anymore. I was getting a lot of visits, a lot of referrals from WBZ to my site. That has stopped completely. They won't even mention my name.
But Nico, it's going to be, and again, I'm just going to say this, okay? And is it, Nico, you don't have any money.
Yes. So you can only play if you have money, right? So Pritzker has spent $325 million. Is that what we want? Do we want people to buy the office?
But I'm not saying that that's what we want. I'm saying that in a lot of ways, they don't take candidates serious with no money. I've been a broke candidate. I'm still one right now. You can always donate, guys, if you want to. But when you're a broke candidate, you really aren't taken as serious because you can't run any ads. You can't even get, where's your yard sign? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that they don't take the candidacy as serious when you only have $200. And personally, if I only had $200 in the bank account, and I'm telling you this as a single man, I wouldn't tell anybody. I want to perpetrate. I'm going to look like I got at least 300, but I'm not going to let everybody know I only got 200. I'm going to perpetrate and fake it until I make it. I'm going to be out here acting like I got.
Yeah, that's because I have no money left because I got to pay Fritz Kegi. So I got no money left.
Yeah.
But my point, Adam, is if we only want the people with money to be elected, the system is fine.
Well, but listen,
we want to hear voices from people like you and me who don't have the money. We should be fighting for something else.
I agree. But Nico, I have to say, Elisa, Nico, both of these things go together. It's hard to fight without money. You have to have a little bit of money, right, to get a lawyer in order for you to get your case heard. And because Elisa, I think you got plenty. The system has completely failed you, and I think that you should be suing the shit out of. This is I can say shit on this, but you should be suing somebody. And I also think that, Nico, you got to have a couple of dollars so people at least hear your name, right? I'm not saying that you got to have flashing lights that say Nico, like a pizzeria, right? But you got to let people know who you are. And I think that your heart, like my heart's in the right place. I'd like to be able to reach more people, but first thing, I need y'all to hit the subscribe button. That's another way I can reach more people on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Secondly is you got to be much more consistent and out front, but you got to have a couple of dollars. That's just my thoughts, Nico. And again, I dare be the fly in the ointment, but people don't, I mean, we can't reinvent the wheel. They want to feel like they got a candidate that has a shot, and they just don't, maybe they don't think that you do.
Adam,
yes.
This is just the beginning. It's not the end. This is just the beginning. Once the election is over, I'm gonna be fighting for equality in media access. I'm gonna be fighting for people who are gonna make it to the ballot. These people, they should be allowed to have a minimal access to media.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask the media to voluntarily come up with a code of ethics so that anybody that's on the ballot in a general election, they would give him a minimal amount of coverage. Nobody will have to go through what you have gone through. or what I'm going through now. I'm not saying you should be on TV every day, but a minimal amount should be awarded to the people who make it on the general election ballot.
Yeah. Well, Nico, I'd like to know, please keep me informed. You're always, I'd like having you here, so you're always invited. And you can always come back to our show. Miss Lisa, and you let us know. I mean, it don't have to be election, Nico. You can always come back here anyway. I don't think you're a pretty smart guy. Miss Lisa, yes.
Adam, I want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank your viewers. I want to thank everybody who's listening for giving me this opportunity to speak out and say a few words. And you keep up the good work. You know you're doing the right thing, and I think that's what's important. That's how we're going to change our communities, and that's how we're going to move forward. And it's not only about the money, it's about the passion and whether people think that they're doing the right thing. You know, and I know, and Elisa knows, and everybody else knows whether they're doing the right or the wrong thing. It's not always about money in life, and we know that. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Nico. If I don't see you before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you. And again, make certain that you stop back after the election. You can celebrate with me if you ain't doing nothing. You can come by the house on November 8th, and we can sit here broke together, eating tube steak. And what you know what tube steak is, right? It's hot dogs, Nico. Hot dogs is tube steak, just in case you don't know. Miss Elisa, we are getting ready to close up, but I want to just thank you for sharing your story with the public. Even though it's only 30 people, 25 to 30 people that are watching the show at this particular moment, generally over the week, it's almost 1,500 people that actually see the show. So I'm certain that there are going to be more people that look, but don't stop. It doesn't matter how many people watch it. Really, Nico has got a point. It really takes one person, and it takes you, and I get it. I know that you're tired. I know right now you just feel like you've hit a wall. But let me just tell you something. When you feel like you're at the end of the rope, you got to tie a knot. You got to keep climbing, okay? And I think that as long as you keep climbing that rope, right? And each time you get a little bit higher, you tie another knot, because you got work to do. People need to hear your story. They need to understand that this should not happen to anyone, right? I moved to this particular area years ago because I just felt safe, right? My kids could walk to school, and to hear that you've been hit with an fender bender 14 times, that breaks my heart, right? Because that should never happen, not anywhere, right? So my hope is that we follow up and we make certain that other people, this never happens to anyone else. So thank you very much for sharing your story. Miss Elisa, what else do you have? What else would you like to say to our guests before we head out?
I thank you for having me on your show today. I really appreciate you even taking the time to, listen to my story, and even with the platform that you bring, so that people can hear. And I will take your advice as far as looking for a lawyer, as well as reaching out to the candidates that you told me to reach out to. So I'll be doing that this week coming, and just keep trying to push my story. That's really what I want to do. I want to push my story so that this don't happen to nobody else, because it's really a tragic thing that it did, but it happened to me because I'm the right one, because I'm going to keep on pushing. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, and you know what? And you shouldn't stop, because again, it just like that, things can change just like that, and it takes people like you to kind of come out, share your story, so that it doesn't happen to anyone else. Again, join the channel. Okay, you got to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turkey and toys, guys. That's what's happening in November. So if you want to donate, make certain that you reach out to me, because I always give out turkey and toys. So if you know a family, Miss Elisa, that needs some turkeys or need toys for the holidays, please reach out, because I give out turkeys and toys for the holiday. And I do it because of the generous donations by people like Nico. Nico, I know you only got $200, but turkey is 50. So now you really only got 150 now, Nico. Okay. But in any event, turkey and toys. Make certain that you support this thing that I've been doing for a lot of years. Turkey and toys. I dress up as Santa Claus. I make the kids feel good, and I stand on the street corner. I don't do this. I stand on the street corner in a Santa uniform, and I hand out toys and give out gifts. So make sure you donate to Turkeys and Toys. But in any event, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Whew, you guys are killing me. If everybody subscribed, who knows, Nico, I may be able to donate. In any event, until next Monday, we are here every Monday at Tea and Conversation at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow we have a board meeting in the village of Glenwood where we're going to be talking the budget. We just talked about Nico and the money and all of how money's spent. Glenwood is going to be talking about budget. They gave themselves 4 and 6 and 8 and all these different raises, whatever. But the board in this particular time did take some action a few weeks. I hope we stay the course and stay with the budget that the board accepted. So if you're in Glenwood tomorrow and you want to see democracy in order, stop by the Village Hall on 1 Asselborn Way and look at how we roll. We also got local elections coming up. I am running again for my trustee seat. Of course, I need people to sign my petition. I'm not really worried about it. I'm going to be honest. Nico, we don't worry about these things. People are going to sign my petition. But I am rerunning, and I am running a slate of candidates this time because I don't want to be by myself. Nico, it's lonely by yourself.
We know that.
I don't want to be by myself anymore. I'm a single guy. Nico, I don't want to be by myself. I need some help. I need somebody to hold me, Nico, okay? Because that's the way I'm going to be able to make things happen. You got to get a team sometimes. And I didn't invent this thing, but sometimes if you can't beat them, you got to join them. Let me see. I got any more questions in here? Come by the house, really tell her you would like a sit down to point her in the right. Elisa, you can reach back out to me and I will give you some directions. Of course, I'm pretty certain that you have me as a resource, but offline, because I'm not going to do it here, let's catch back up and I'll kind of get you in the right direction where you should be going to make certain that these individuals that are that need to be hearing your story, I will make certain that they do. So just get with me. Nico, you should have been tied to the hip, but in any event, we will talk. Early voting is going on right now. Early voting is November what? What is it, Nico?
The election is November 8th. Early voting is going on. It's already going on.
Early voting is going on right now. So when you go there and somebody gives you this card, it's a lot of judges on there. It's going to say yes or no. Do you want to retain them? You either say yes or no. It really doesn't matter if you say no. Okay. Trustee Matt, any closing words?
Elisa.
Great show tonight. Great show tonight. Just breaks my heart to hear the young lady's story about no justice. We definitely need to put her with representatives that are here and elected to help us and point us in the right direction. And it's not too late. Her event just happened in July. So there's still hope and there's still help.
Yes.
And for you, candidate Nico, you got to get our property taxes down. You got to at least make sure that our property tax payment statements are not late, because now we're doubling up. We got another one that's coming out and we got back-to-back monies that has to be spent. So
Nico, did you talk about how you're going to fix that double up issue? Because nobody wants a doubled up bill.
Nobody wants the ugly bills we're getting. And timing is an issue too. Everything is an issue. Everything is a mess. I mean, yeah, if I get elected, will the bills be coming more on time? They will be coming more on time by definition, by the fact that there's not going to be crazy assessments. And then there's not going to be all these thousands of appeals. And there's not going to be all these delays at the Board of Review. But guys, our major problem is not the fact that the bills are late. It's the fact that the bills are outrageous. That's our major problem, at least the way I see it.
Yes. All right. And with that, this concludes our show. Thank you again for joining Tea and Conversation. Join the channel. And until next Monday, I will see you all back right here at 7 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam.
Bye-bye.